Remember the housing bubble in 2008? What were you doing back then? Do you think that's where we're headed now? Welcome, beloved. My name is Youssef. I'm your local Seattle realtor serving the Puget Sound region, and welcome to the walkthrough. Now, home values appreciated by about 10% in 2020, and it's projected to appreciate by about 5% this year. This has some voicing concern that we may be in another housing bubble like the one we experienced a little over a decade ago. Here are 3 reasons why this housing market is totally different. This time, housing supply is extremely limited. The price of any market item is determined by supply and demand. If supply is high and demand is low, prices normally decrease. If supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. In real estate, supply and demand are measured in months of supply of inventory, which is based on the number of current homes for sale compared to the number of buyers in a given market. The normal month's supply of inventory for a stable market is about 6 months. Anything above is defined as a buyer's market, indicating prices typically soften. Anything below defines as a seller's market, in which prices normally appreciate. Between 2006 and 2008, the month's supply of inventory increased from just over 5 to 11 months of supply, creating a buyer's market. Now, months of inventory has been under 5 months for the last 3 years, under 4 for the 13 of the last 14 months, and under 3 for the last 6 months, and currently around 1.9 months, a historical low. Locally here in the greater Seattle and Puget Sound area, the numbers are even more historic. Remember, if supply is low and demand is high, prices are naturally going to increase. This time, housing demand is real. During the housing boom in the mid-2000s, there was a lot of unfounded market optimism that lacks a real foundation of fundamental valuation, but instead rests on psychological factors, or in other words, irrational hype. Without considering historical market trends, people got caught up in the frenzy and bought homes based on an unrealistic belief that the housing values will continue to escalate. The mortgage industry fed into this craziness by making mortgage money available to just about anyone, as shown in the Mortgage Credit Availability Index published by the Mortgage Bankers Association. The higher the index, the easier it is to get a mortgage. The lower the index, the more difficult it is to obtain one. Prior to the housing boom, the index stood at just about 400. In 2006, the index hit an all-time high of over 868. Again, just about anyone could get a mortgage. Today, the index stands at 122.5, which is well below even the pre-boom level. In the current real estate market, demand is real, not fabricated. Millennials, the largest generation in the country, have come of age to marry and have children, which are two major drivers for homeownership. The health crisis is also challenging every household to redefine the meaning of home and to reevaluate whether their current home meets that new definition. This desire to own, coupled with historically low mortgage rates, makes purchasing a home today a strong, sound financial decision. Therefore, today's demand is very real. Remember, if supply is low and demand is high, naturally prices increase. This time, households have plenty of equity. Again, during the housing boom, it wasn't just purchasers who got caught up in the frenzy. Existing homeowners started using their homes like an ATM. There was a wave of cash out refinances, which enabled homeowners to leverage the equity in their home. From 2005 through 2007, Americans pulled out a little over $824 billion in equity. That left many homeowners with little or no equity in their homes at a critical time. As prices began to drop, some homeowners found themselves in a negative equity situation where their mortgage was higher than the value of their home. Many defaulted on their payments, which led to an avalanche of foreclosures. Today, the banks and the American people have shown they've learned a valuable lesson from the housing crisis a little over a decade ago. Cash out refinance volume over the last 3 years were less than a third of what was compared to the 3 years leading up to that crash. This conservative approach has created levels of equity never seen before. According to the Census Bureau data, over 38% of owner-occupied home units are owned free and clear. That's without a mortgage. That's significantly better than the equity situation we were in 2008. There's no question in my mind that this time housing supply is at a historic low. Demand is real and rightly motivated. If there were to be a drop in prices, homeowners have enough equity to be able to weather the dip in home values. This is nothing like 2008. In fact, it's the exact opposite. So what does this all mean? It means that if you ever thought about selling your home, now can be a good time to start the planning process.